Hi guys, welcome to today's tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how I made this beautiful satin chemise. It was worn beneath a bridal robe for a bridal photo shoot, but you can make yours shorter and wear it as a top if you like. And the full outfit looked completely gorgeous, the robe and this chemise set, and this is what it looked like. So let's get right into the tutorial. So I'm starting off with my fabric unfold. This is 1.5 yards of satin fabric, and I'm folding it again, leaving a little bit of material at the edge to serve as my zip allowance. So this slip gown is going to have a strap, and I'm going to draw 1/2 inch from the edge of the material to serve as my baseline from where I'm going to take all my measurements. So I'm going to be taking all my measurements from that line, and like I said, this is how this gown has a single strap, which is going to be about 5 inches long. So I'm taking out 5 inches from my measurement. I'm going to start measuring from 5 inches, and the length of this gown is 35 inches, and adding 2 inches below, which will serve as hemming allowance and have allowance to turn the neckline. Now I'm placing my vertical measurements. So my shoulder to bust point is 10 inches, shoulder to waistline is 16 inches, and from the waistline to the hip line is 24 inches, or 8 inches below the waistline. So I'm now going to square out my measurements and draw horizontal lines where I'm going to mark my horizontal measurements. So the bust measurement I'm working with is 40 inches divided by 4 10 inches, and I'm adding 2 inches for sewing allowance. The waist is 36 inches divided by 4 9 inches plus 2 inches sewing allowance, so I'm marking 11. And the hip is 42 inches divided by 2, that is 21, divided by 2 again 10.5, plus 2 inches sewing allowance, that is 12.5 inches total. So I'm now going to square that out, and I'm going to join my markings, and then I'm going to curve it so that it has a gentle shape. If you have a curve and you wish to curve with that, please go ahead. I am doing mine freehand. So now that I've joined with my rule, I'm now going to make the lines more gentle and curve it out. Next, I'm going to be marking my armhole measurement, and the armhole I'm working with is 8. Like I said, I'm going to take cognizance of the strap or the sleeve. So I'm now marking 8 inches, and I'm going to mark my shoulder measurement, which is 16 divided by 2 8. Because this is going to have a single strap, I'm coming in by 2 inches from the shoulder measurement. So instead of marking 8 inches, I marked 6 inches, and now I'm curving towards the armhole. So now we have, this is basically the pattern for an off-shoulder gown, and then I'm going to attach my sleeve, which is a strap, a single strap. So I've cut out my my pattern for the bodice of the gown. Next, I'm going to cut out bias strips, which I'll use to turn the neckline and also to make the straps of the gown. So I'm marking a diagonal line on the fabric, and then I'm going to measure 2 inches from that line, and that will serve as the width of my bias strip. I'm marking it diagonally because that's how you cut on the bias. So when you cut on the bias, it's going to be a little bit stretchy, which I'll demonstrate in a few seconds, and that will also allow you to manipulate the fabric if you need to make, as you're making your turns for the strap. I'm cutting out my bias strips, and like I said earlier, when you stretch it out, it stretches because it was cut on the bias. And now that I've cut out my bias strips, I'm going to take my fabric to my sewing machine and get started with sewing. So now I'm taking the front piece of my fabric, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of the bias strips and place the right side of the bias strip facing the wrong side of my front piece so that I can turn it over and then hide those rough edges. So once again, the wrong side of the fabric is what is facing the bias strip and not the other way around. Now I'm going to sew that down with my machine and trim off any excesses. I'm folding it down 2 times after attaching it to the front panel. So I'm going to fold the first time and I'm going to fold the second time. Then I'm going to sew that down with my machine in order to get a neat finish. So this may be a little bit tricky, but just be patient and take your time and you get it done neatly. Now I'm going on to do the back panel. So the wrong side of the fabric is what is facing the right side of the bias. Then I'm going to turn it over and fold it 2 times. I'm folding the first time, now I'm folding the second time. Then I'm going to sew that down with my machine. Next, I'm going to be joining the two parts of the two sides of the back. So you measure 18 inches from the neckline and then you start sewing to the bottom of the fabric. So you can see that I started from the bottom and I'm going to stop 18 inches from the neckline. This is going to serve as the zip allowance where I'm going to attach my zip. So I've opened it up and you can see that I started sewing from the bottom, but I only sewed, I measured 18 inches from the top of the material and then I started sewing. Now I'm going to place my front panel on my back panel and join the two sides together. Next, I'm going to be attaching the straps. So to attach the straps, I'm working with the armhole. This is the armhole of the right side, and what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to take the bias strips and take the right side of the bias, place it on the wrong side of the fabric, and I'll fold in the edge so that it's nice and neat. And then I'm going to sew it round to create a loop. So I'm going to go from the front to the back of the same side to create one strap like a circle. So I'm sewing it down. I've placed the right side of the bias facing the wrong side of the material, and now I'm sewing it all the way around and I'm marking the strap. So 5 inches for one side of the strap and 5 inches for the other, making a total of 10 inches. I'm marking it 5 inches, like I'm marking one by one so that you can see that it's one strap but the two sides. So the side that's going to be at the back and the side that's going to be in the front, making a total of 10 inches for the strap. Then I'm going to start sewing on the other side of the same armhole, starting from the 10 inches gap that I've left. So I've just indicated 5 inches for the front and 5 inches from the back, and this is the same armhole. So starting from the other side of that armhole, I'm going to start from the 10 inches and sew the right side of the bias onto the wrong side of the fabric up to the point where I started sewing before. Now when you get to where you started the circle, sew over it and then cut off the excess. So this will serve as a little allowance to allow your finishing to be neat. So when you get to the end, remember to stitch up so that nothing unravels whenever you're done sewing. So now I'm done attaching the loop. I'm going to fold it to close off those rough edges. So this is the strap. This is what it's supposed to look like. And now I'm going to fold 2 times as well. So you fold the first time, then you fold the second time, the same way you folded the neckline to close off those rough edges, and you're going to sew that all around the strap that you attached. So I hope that my explanation is clear. If not, just watch the video so that you have a look at what I'm doing. So I'm folding it down the first time and then the second time. Now I'm going to sew it all the way around. So that you get it neatly done, just take time to fold in those edges so that they are neatly tucked in, and then keep on sewing it all the way around to get a perfect circle. Your material is not meant to be twisted. The straps are not meant to be folded in on themselves. If they are, then you know that maybe while you are placing it on the material, on the body of the fabric, then you probably place it wrongly. So you can see that mine is straight and not twisted on itself. So this is the second strap that I'm doing. I measured 10 inches after attaching it the first time on one side of the fabric. To attach it to the other side of the fabric, you measure 10 inches and give the 10 inches gap, and then you fold it in on itself. So this is the second strap that I'm sewing now. So I hope that's clear enough for you to follow. If you have any questions, please leave your questions in the comment section and I will attend to them as best as I can. So just in case there's any confusion when you're attaching the strap, first of all, you're attaching to the front half of one side, and then you're attaching to the second, that's the back half of the same side that you are attaching one strap to. So front and back of the same side, that's how you're going to attach the bias strip, and that's how you're going to fold it in on itself. So next I'm going to attach a zip to my dress, and then I'm going to hem the bottom, and then you can either weave it if you like, so that all the rough edges are nicely taken care of and there's no fraying. So this is my dress when I am done. You can see that the straps are nice and neat. I'm just hemming the bottom now by folding in by 1/2 inch and then folding once again by 1 inch, so that all those rough edges are nice and neat. So this is what it looks like. And yeah, that is the bottom and that's the hem of my material of my dress. Hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. See you next time. Bye.